So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our morning Dharma Reflections. We'll begin with the reflections on universal well-being.
May I abiding well-being in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action, and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action,
Companion to such action,
and results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts there will be the heirs.
So continue to read Acharya Mun's biography. We're in the section where Acharya Mun is in his final days. He's gotten very sick and has told his disciples that he's near the end of life. And so we'll continue to follow his story. Eventually, Acharya Mun's condition became so serious that the rest of us felt obliged to undertake certain precautions. We quietly arranged for groups of 3 or 4 monks to keep a vigil every night, sitting beneath his hut. We arranged this ourselves without informing him, though he may have been intuitively aware of it. We were concerned that he might forbid us to do it, reasoning that it was a burden on the monks and thus an unnecessary nuisance. Every night, small groups of monks took turns, sitting silently beneath his hut in continuous shifts that lasted until dawn. Each group stayed for several hours until it was replaced by the next. This routine was already well established by the beginning of the rainy season retreat that year, when it became obvious that his illness had become very debilitating. We conferred among ourselves and decided to request his permission for 2 monks to be allowed to sit in meditation on his veranda. With his consent, 2 monks were always seated on his veranda from then on, and 2 more were seated down below. Besides the regular shifts of the monks who kept watch on him, others were quietly overseeing the whole arrangement throughout the night. Just imagine that. Right? It's the Acharya Mun, a well-loved and respected teacher, near the end of life, and his disciples care very deeply about him. Always want to make sure he's doing okay. So they're always sitting there, making sure that there is some mindfulness, some observation, some awareness on how his well-being is doing, so they can respond. Filiality. I think many children also provide that for their parents when it's time near the end of life. The end of the rains retreat saw an increasing number of senior disciples beginning to arrive to pay their respects and to help look after his needs. By that time, his condition was critical and became more and more unstable by the day. Eventually, he called all his disciples together one day to remind them of the proper way to handle his impending death. My illness has now reached its final stage. It is time to think about what will happen when I die. Preparations must be made in time. As I've told you many times, I am going to die. This much is certain. My death is destined to be a major event, affecting not only the general public, but animals as well. I want you to know that I do not wish to die here at Ban Nom Phu. If I die here, it will be necessary to slaughter large numbers of farm animals in order to feed all the people coming to my funeral. I am only one dying person, but the death of this one person will in turn cause the deaths of a great many animals. Crowds of people will travel here to attend my funeral, but there is no market in this village where foodstuffs can be purchased. Since ordaining as a monk, I have never for a moment considered doing any harm to an animal, to say nothing of killing them. Compassion has always been the foundation of my conscious existence. I am continuously extending the spirit of loving kindness and dedicating the fruits of my merit to all living beings without exception. I do not want to see any animal lose their life. I could never countenance having my own death become a source of enmity between myself and the world's animals. Ajahn Mun's statement about being harmless and not wishing to harm any animals was very striking, as well as his comment, compassion has always been the foundation of my conscious existence. It's like, wow, compassion is his ground. And he says, I'm continuously extending the spirit of loving kindness to all beings, as well as dedicating merit. It seems to me very much like the Avatamsaka Sutra when we talk about the purifying practices chapter. Right? As we go through the day, every action we take is a dedication of merit. And as I read that, I had a couple of reflections, particularly around this sense of care for animals. I found a couple of quotes. Mahatma Gandhi said, "The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated." You can say the greatness of a person is how they treat animals. And I think in our current times, with our slaughterhouses and our kind of meat industry, animals are treated basically like objects, things that we use to make a profit, to kind of get flavor for our bodies. And we find that a lot of pain and suffering there, You can say our nation or our world in this regard is plummeting in our moral progress. And I found some interesting other quotes. I didn't know Benjamin Franklin was actually seemed to be a vegetarian. He said, "My refusing to eat flesh occasioned an inconveniency, and I was frequently chided for my singularity. But with this lighter repast, I made the greater progress, for greater clearness of head and quicker comprehension. Flesh eating is unprovoked murder." Very much in alignment with Mahatma Gandhi, talking about how his sense of inner progress and clarity came from not eating meat. And Pythagoras, one of the early Western philosophers, said, "Alas, What wickedness to swallow flesh into our own flesh, to fatten our greedy bodies by cramming in other bodies, to have one living creature fed by the death of another. As long as man continues to be ruthless, destroyer of lower living beings, he will never know health or peace. For as long as men massacre animals, they will kill each other. Indeed, he who sows a seed of murder and pain cannot reap joy and love. And another quote by Leo Tolstoy: from animal murder to human murder is only one step, and so is animal cruelty to human cruelty. In the Buddhist tradition, there's many teachings about cherishing the life of animals and how wars begin because of killing animals. And so I think Acharya Mun's example to us in terms of how he not only cared for his disciples, but even the animals around him is quite striking. So Acharya Mun continues, I want you to take me Sakon Nakan so I can die there. The town has a large marketplace, so my death should not affect the lives of so many animals. I've yet to die, but monks and lay people are already arriving here in a steady stream. Their number is increasing each day. Clear evidence of the scale of the problem. Now think of how many people will come when I finally do die. Many people will mourn my death, but that is not my concern. I am ready for death, whenever and wherever it happens. I have no regrets about departing with my body. Having investigated this thoroughly, I know it is merely a combination of elements that have joined together temporarily, only to break apart again and revert back to their original elemental nature. What is there to be attached to? What I'm concerned about is safeguarding the local farm animals so they won't have to perish as well. I don't want to see animal carcasses laid out for sale all up and down the roadsides here. That would be extremely regrettable. Fortunately, it's not too late to remedy this situation. I'm asking that you arrange for my departures as soon as possible for the sake of those animals that would otherwise die as a result of my death. It is my express wish that their lives be protected. Does anyone have anything to say? If so, speak up now. Or Acharya Mun's final wish. Please bring me to another place so that the animals here don't have to die. In Thai Buddhism, they're not vegetarian, so a lot of the lay people actually offer meat to the monastics. Not a single person in the group spoke up. An atmosphere of quiet despair pervaded the assembly. As the Buddha said, not getting what one wants is truly a form of dukkha. Everyone realized that whether he went to Sakon Nakan or remained at Ban Nam Phoi, in either case, the situation was hopeless. He was going to die. So the meeting remained silent. There was just no way to resolve this dilemma. In the end, everyone willingly agreed to his request. I remember talking to one of the men here in the program who was reading the biography. And as he read this section, he started crying, just realizing how caring and compassionate Acharya Mun was. He said it really changed his perception of what an arhat is. Because oftentimes, the arhat is presented almost like selfish, or just only caring about their own liberation. But Acharya Mun's considerateness, awareness, compassion is truly admirable. And And so I think for all of us, for one, we can cherish the Dharma and the teachers that we have in our lives. It's truly precious. And the other is to just say, how do I treat the animals in my life? The other creatures that are not human? Can I treat them with respect and care? Like I would treat my parents, my friends? And of course we can also treat the humans in our lives in the same way. Okay, so maybe we do 3 steps, 1 bow. I have to help out with a class, so I won't be able to join that. Xingwei will lead?
Yep.
Yeah.